A reading from Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 6 and 16 to 18. Jesus said, "Beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So whenever you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may be praised by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your alms may be done in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, so that they may be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But whenever you pray, go into your room and shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you." May I speak in the name of God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen. Have you ever wondered if Jesus laughed or smiled or told jokes? The Bible never actually says he did, but some of his stories paint word pictures that could have been spoken with at least a smile. Today's reading is, according to Matthew, part of a longer extended teaching session. It came after Jesus had called the 12 to be his disciples, his apprentices. In Matthew's Gospel, there are 5 discourses, like 5 parts of a basic Christianity course for beginners. Jesus was telling the disciples a lot about what he expected from people who followed him. In chapter 5, there was the Sermon on the Mount, beginning with what are called the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, and those who are persecuted and reviled on Jesus' account. All will be rewarded by God. The rest of chapter 5 includes Jesus' teaching on some of the 10 commandments, not just do not commit murder, but do not be angry with a brother or sister. Not just love your neighbours, but love your enemies too. All of that teaching seems to be about acting, speaking, behaving in ways that are better than other people. In fact, Jesus says your righteousness must exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees, the people who were scrupulous about obeying every minute detail of God's law. Such exceptionally good behaviour would probably be noticed by other people. Our reading today from Matthew chapter 6 has a different emphasis. It's summed up by the first sentence: "Beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven." Jesus speaks of 3 pious habits: giving alms, praying, and fasting. He assumes that these are all part of the lifestyle of his disciples. Whenever you give alms, whenever you pray, whenever you fast. Jesus tells his disciples not to be like the hypocrites. In this context, the word means people who are like actors, who like to show off. Matthew uses the word hypocrites more than the other 3 gospel writers put together, usually to describe enemies of Jesus, those who criticize him and plot to kill him. It seems that there were some people in the synagogues and the streets who wanted people to know how generous they were financially and to praise them. They might be blowing their own trumpets, making a performance out of doing some good works. But Jesus says, But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Similarly, it seems that there were some people who loved to pray in the synagogues and at the street corners so that they might be seen by others. But Jesus said, "Go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret." Thirdly, Jesus told the disciples, whenever they fasted, not to look dismal or disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. But Jesus said, "When you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father who is in secret." How about us? Can we make sure that we help people out quietly and unobtrusively? Can we make time to be quiet, simply and honestly with God? Can we decide to deny ourselves something we've become addicted to and concentrate on God? Following Jesus doesn't involve looking for praise from other people. We shouldn't be blowing our own trumpets or making a production out of our faith. Our Father who sees in secret will reward us. God who conceives us in love is always with us, behind the scenes, helping us to become more Christ-like Christians. Amen.